Shalom. Before I begin this video, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Rahawa Kakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continue to rule very well to this very day. And our shalom to the whole elect that's continually applying in his work, giving diligence to make your calling extra sure and faith, true sincerity, and all charity. Now, just gonna make a quick video. Excuse me if I sound, kind of a little hoarse. I'm a little bit under the weather right now. Nose stopped up, and my throat's kind of in terrible condition right now. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, this video, which I'm about to bring out, is or this lesson I'm about to bring out through the spirit, is edifying to the body of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai and to the members of the Hopeful Elect, in which this is going to be pretty much an update on the recent news that just came up concerning the ties of war, which I might title this video as that, the ties of war, or should I say something along those lines. But pretty much now you have a piece of news being reported concerning NATO. See, now the NATO countries, like it says right here, the NATO countries are now gathering in Norway for to conduct drills, in which they're deeming it as the biggest drill since the Cold War. And this lets you know that this is the prophecy concerning Russia, which is known as the Russian Bear, and these other nations gearing up for war. You're starting to see this prophecy being made more clear. All right, now you're starting to see NATO come into the mix, in which they're going to be involved in this next coming war as well, known as World War III, which is deemed as the war to end all wars. All right? Because, see, the Lord is putting the spirit on the nations to gather for war. All right? Because the way that this current age is going to end, which is in the Greek means aeon, because if you go into the New Testament, it speaks about or the disciples ask him what would be the sign of the end of the world, and they weren't talking about the end of the planet Earth, the Earth blowing up and this and that, whatever they push out in the airways nowadays. But what they meant by that is what would be the end of the age. And the age that they were talking about when they were asking that question to Yahweh Shai, who these people ignorantly call Jesus, what they mean by that is when will be the end of the age of the Edomites being in rulership, in which during that time it was the Romans that were ruling, and the Romans were Edomites, so-called white people. All right, that's their true biblical nationality. Okay, which that also applies to today. All right, because when they asked him that question, Yahweh Shai pretty much told them what was going to happen in this time. All right, and by that I mean what's going to happen in these last days that we're in right now, because Yahweh Shai was talking over their heads when he was telling them what was about to go down. All right. Yeah, he did mention about the coming trouble that was about to come upon Israel, which happened in 70 AD during the Roman persecution against Israel, in which we fled out of the land. But he was also talking about this time right now, because now we're in the time to where those things that Yahweh Shai spoke about to his disciples, now they're also coming to pass in this time now. All right. So that's why you're seeing the momentum of war being elevated. That's why you're starting to see these different nations coming together for war, conducting drills. And we mentioned this over and over again. You know, you don't have an army that conducts drills for nothing, just for show. No, when they conduct drills, they do it so that when it comes time for wartime, they'll be ready. You know how you had in school where you had a tornado drill, a fire drill. So guess what? When you have those drills and when it happens, you'll know what to do when it comes time for a tornado drill or a fire drill. Now, when those things happen, you know, you assume the position, so to speak. Now, when it comes to these different drills that's being conducted, the reason why they're doing these is to prepare for war. All right, because it's inevitable. That's why now NATO is in the mix. Okay? In which, for a time, you know, NATO, you know, pretty much hasn't really been on fire, so to speak, or more apt to conduct drills. But now, as you see right now, they're conducting one of the largest drills ever since the Cold War, because the Cold War is about to be reborn, because the Cold War never really ended. All right, even Vladimir Putin, that resides over Russia, he made that statement saying that the Cold War never ended, and those ties with America and Russia are getting thinner and thinner day by day. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the scriptures, because all of this is Bible prophecy, man. You cannot refute that these things that were written in the scriptures are coming to pass now. You know, there's no running from it. All right, there's no denying it. And if you deny it, then that pretty much means that you're a fool. All right, it's a term called being in denial. All right. It's like you. It's the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, in the 3rd verse. It says, as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, what shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? See? In which that word world, you can look it up for yourself. That word world there is aeon, which means age. So they ask, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? See? Now, what they meant by that is by the sign of his coming, because they understood that Yahushua was going to come back. He's going to be revived, to assert the kingdom. But the thing was, it wasn't going to happen in that time. All right? Because once he made himself a sacrifice, all right, when he was crucified, he left the disciples, went back into the spirit world, and he sat on the right hand of the Father. See, now in this time, when he comes back, right, that will be the end of the world. All right, and he told them, all right, what will be going on during that time. All right. Now, I'm going to skip down to the point at verse 6. It says, And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is, but the end is not yet. All right. So that's what you're hearing right now. You're hearing wars, and you're hearing rumors of wars. Okay. It said, but the end is not yet. So the end is not, it's not here yet, man. Even though we hear wars and rumors of wars, still there is other prophecies and scriptures that must be fulfilled before we come into that time. All right. Verse 7 says, it's like it. It says, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All right. So nation is rising against nation right now, and kingdom is rising up against kingdom. You got superpowers coming up against superpowers. You got America as a superpower, China as a superpower, which is in league with Russia, which is another superpower. All right, so you got kingdoms coming up against other kingdoms. All right, and guess what? It's where it says nation against nation. It's not only extended to these are different nations that are coming together for war, but it's also extended onto to the people, especially on the soils of America. All right. That's why it goes into the book of Second Esdras, where it speaks about I believe with sword, it goes as far as lines, roughly paraphrase, it said with swords in their hands. I think it says for nation shall rise against nation with swords in their hands. I'm roughly paraphrasing, but that's going into the coming race war. Not to go too far off topic, but concerning this verse, it says for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and we're starting to see that, man. All right. In which pretty soon we are going to come into a time of famine. Not only are we going to come into a famine of bread, right, or water, but we're also going to come into a famine of the word. See, that's why also what Yahushua was speaking about. Because he wasn't only talking about the famines of the bread, not being able to eat, in which that is going to happen, but he also explained that there's going to be a famine of the word as well. Because Yahushua and the disciples, which later became apostles, they had the Old Testament back then. So they knew about the prophecies and they read about it. All right. So the book of Amos 8, chapter and 11 verse about the famine of the word, they read about it already. So Yahushua knew about it. And he also knew about the famine spoken about in the book of Ezekiel. All right. So I'm gonna move on from there. We get let's see, it's like, I believe I had another one. Okay, I'm going to go to the book of Revelations, the 16th chapter. And start at the 12th verse, get to the point. There's only one verse that I want to pull out of this chapter. Verse 12, it says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon a great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. See, you got the kings of the east being prepared right now in that region where the Euphrates is. And where the Euphrates lies is near Syria and other parts of that world, other parts of the east. That's why you see conflict going on in Syria. You see conflict going on in other parts around Syria, because that's a concentrated area where the Lord Yahweh, which is the name of the Heavenly Father once again, and Yahweh and His Son's name Yahushai, wants war to commence. All right. Now, let's see if I can spell it right. I think I spelled it right. Yep. This is our Revelation, the 16th chapter, and the same chapter, right? Skip down to verse 16, and it said, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, in which Armageddon, that's English form, but the Hebrew word for Armageddon is Har-Magad-One, right? Har-Magad-One, which means mountain of troops, because you got Gad, which is in that word, which Gad means troop. All right, and I believe one at the end of it makes it a multitude. All right, and I think Har means mountain, if I'm not mistaken, but I have to go back and look up the word. But that word Armageddon means mountain of troops. All right, a mountain of troops, or a multitude of troops, in which this is where, like I mentioned before, that's the place where the Lord has put a concentration on war in that region. All right, that's the place, and it's also known as. Let me see if I can grab the other one. It's known as it's a book of should be Joel, if I'm not mistaken. Gotta go all the way down. Right, so this is the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, and start at the 11th verse. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So that's where the Lord is gonna judge the heathen all around about. Because once that war commences, that will be the start of World War III. All right. Like I mentioned before, that concentrated area is where the Lord wants this war to commence. Okay. That's a hot spot for these armies to go and fight against each other. Okay. And there's more specifics when it comes to this next coming war, because the scriptures give much detail on how it's going to be during the time of war. And this is just the start of it. All right. You know, that pretty much wraps up this video and this lesson. Like I mentioned before, I didn't want to make it too long. But Lord's will, you members of the Hope Elect were edified by this video and this lesson. You know, this lets you know that we're very close to the end of this man society, that we're close to the return of our Lord Yahweh Shai, who these people here they call Jesus, and we're one step closer to the kingdom being established on the planet Earth. All right. So with that, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Rahawah Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continually rule very well to this very day. Shalom, peace and safety, salutations to the Hope Elect.